I'm going to get to a review of the new remix of Spring Breakers, Charli XCX featuring Kesha, but before I do, I want to address the biggest complaint about my review of the remix album, or the Brat, and it's completely different, but still Brat. And I'm going to be quoting someone who commented on that section, Clara something, and I really respect this comment. I disagree with it, but I want to have sort of a public dialogue with it, because I think it ties in with why having Kesha on here is so great and so important, and why it works so perfectly. This was Clara's complaint. Great review. Thanks, but God, you are insistent with Taylor mentions. It seems somewhat reductive of Charli's artistry to constantly and forcibly exclaim the need of another artist's perspective on her songs, her music, her album, especially when she and Taylor do not have a good relationship or have ever showed musical synergy. Just my 2 cents, but by the time you got to I think about it all the time, I was annoyed to bits by this. Fair. That's fair. I did mention quite often how much I thought that Taylor Swift was missing on the Brat project. And I hate to say it, but this Kesha collaboration actually reinforces that idea, makes it even more necessary. Now listen, I tried to call my shot on the last video saying that the perfect thing for each artist would be if they worked together. If we had a collaborative album, Charli, Taylor, XCX, Swift, like that would just be perfect for both of them in terms of their career, trajectory, doing something new, doing something interesting, girl power, all that stuff. Maybe I'm shooting too far. Maybe I'm aiming for the stars, and if I'm going to land on the moon, there's still hope for Hello Goodbye. Thematically, I don't know how it links really up. Actually, it's not too, it is kind of a Taylor-esque song. But anyways, how does it prove my point? Well, listen, Brat was a great album for many reasons. One of those is that it was a woman claiming her space. Very often in a patriarchal society, says a dude, we end up having women who are asked to take up less space and to be apologetic for the space that they take. Brat was against that. It was anti-classist. It was pro-feminist. It was about women who are often discarded or ignored or thought of as being stupid or frivolous, and raising them to a level of not necessarily gods, but people who need to be respected and treated fairly. It was against shame, and it was against, I'm going to use a sexist term here, but catfighting, right? Which is the term that people use when women fight at each other. It's one thing that I've noticed for a long time, being a cis-het straight white male, that anybody who is not a cis-het straight white male is often in the public sphere pitted against each other, as though there's only one spot for anyone who is not a cis-het white straight male, and therefore they have to fight. That's been the history of pop music quite often. So if we could call the first album Brat, I had a funny idea. So I've been getting really into Alien ever since the Alien movie came out. That's the last movie I saw in the theater before my baby was born, which means it'll probably be the last movie I see for a couple of years. And you know, the first Alien movie was called Alien. The second movie was called Aliens. I almost think we could call the Brat, the second album, Brats, because it's multiple brats. It's multiple female celebrities who have had different reputations over different times showing up, and it's not about Charli claiming her space. It's about Charli and the girls claiming their space. I apologize for using the diminutive term, Charli and other women claiming their space. It started off with Billie Eilish and Lorde, right? The first two that came out. We're living in a society that celebrates and discards young women, especially celebrity women, especially female singers, especially pop stars. And this was a very clear communicated goal through this remix project. And that's why I insist that Taylor Swift would be so perfect for it, because she herself writes and sings a lot about this. She herself is a champion of pop. I'm not saying pop feminism. She is that too, as in like popular feminism, but also like feminism for women in the popular space. Because every time that you make fun of Britney, you are on some level making fun of women in general. It's unfortunate, but it's the case. We can't just laugh at her for shaving her head without supporting the patriarchy. So that's why I went so hard with Taylor Swift. And I'll kind of return to it. But when there's the song Girl So Confusing, it's It's almost like that was with Lorde, and it could have been with Taylor, or it could be with anyone else. You had Robin, Ariana, Caroline Perlicek, Lorde, Billy, Tanashi, Shy Girl, and the ghost of Sophie. And now with Kesha, oh my god, it's perfect. It's perfect because she really was, if I had to choose, if you had to ask me, Sky, you've been talking on and on and on and on about how much you wish Taylor were on this album. I would have chosen Kesha over it because it really drives home the theme. Not just that Brat was obvious, not obviously. Maybe you just listened to it and you liked it for what it was. Maybe you're young. If you're my age, you remember like the turn of the 9s to the 10s, the early teens in America. And there was a real discourse about these party girls. Sorry, I almost said potty girls. I'm potty training my 2-year-old right now. It's literally all I think about. It's been hard to even think about music. Do you need to go? The party girl aesthetic, the party girl, the pop music that was being made, the hedonism of it. At the time, I was much older when I was younger, okay? So when I was like 30 years old, I was way older than I am now. And I just was like, oh, they're walking around in their short skirts and talking about getting drunk and TikTok and waking up and looking like Mick Jagger and all this stuff. It's really important that Kesha has allowed herself to reclaim that image in her own music. It's really important that she did that at the time, that she empowered women to act how they wanted to act, even if they were acting like numbskulls. And the Brat Project is part of reclaiming that. It is consciously a Kesha-like project. It is. I mean, Kesha is maybe the original Brat in the sort of idea of what is and is not Brat. I don't know if she's going to run for president, but she actually probably wouldn't be bad at it. And this is where I want to go back to this quote from my critic earlier, who again, it was a well-worded and fairly considered criticism. I'm not repeating it to demean it, but to sort of play off it. Forcibly exclaim the need of another artist's perspective on her songs, her music, her album. That's the point of Brats. That's the whole point of these remixes. There is a need for other artists' perspective on her songs, her music, and her album. That's what this whole project was about. Even though I didn't like the Ariana Grande thing at first, I understood it because it deepened what was already there. It's the whole point. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. Now, musically, I think it's interesting. It sort of fits in. I don't have my little props here. You saw my video before. You know, remind, reconfigure. It's not much of a reconfiguration. It's more of a reminder. It's a lot like the song with Lorde. It's a lot like the song with Billie Eilish, where it's very similar to the original, but just the simple fact of having Billie changed that song. Just the fact of having Lorde realize the promise and potential of that song. Having Kesha in the song Spring Breakers puts you right there. When this was happening, back in 2008, 9, 10, I was actually in Santa Barbara. That's where I got my doctorate. I went to University of California, Santa Barbara, which I used to call in a derisive way, University of California Spring Break, because it felt like it was permanent spring break. It was just the vibe there, okay? You go down to Isla Vista, grab a burrito at Freebirds, it's like when I would be teaching, I would see a faraway look in my eyes and know that the students were playing beach volleyball with a brewski in their mind, okay? That's just the kind of life that I live there. So it's funny because this soundtrack in my mind is very connected to the way that I saw my students. And I saw my students, the way they were dressing, the way they were acting, and I just had this whole vibe to it. And it really connects to it perfectly. This song needs Kesha. Like, the original song needs the Kesha remix for the original song to work. That's what Charli's done with Bratz, with the second album. She's made the first album much better by completing the songs. And all Kesha had to do is what she did, which was just say, we're the original party girl gods. They're working together. Easily, Kesha could have said, oh, now you like it, now you give it respect. She could have been bitter, but she wasn't. She was cool. She was playing along. It makes me so sad when I think about this week. I actually happen to be doing 2 different female rap artists. Love the Genius. I'm going to be dropping that probably tomorrow. And I just did Glorilla. It's one of the sad facts that the competition between female rappers is very fierce. And it's stoked by the media. and it plays on all the worst instincts of patriarchy, and it's just a terrible fact that, like, Lil Kim and Nicki Minaj don't get together, and they should totally get together. Nicki Minaj should be bringing her out and thanking her every show, and Lil Kim should be saying, you're up next, and I'm still doing what I'm doing, but you're doing what I'm doing too. That's what this is. This is that sisterhood that is possible. That is the sisterhood that is at the basis of the entire Bratz project. The sisterhood with Lorde, with Billie Eilish. Of course, it could have been with Tyler. With Taylor. See, now I'm annoying you again, but I have to say it. It's kind of, she's doing sort of a rap thing, but it's not even really rap. It's just like her kind of bratty talk thing. It's the way that Kesha always was. Man, I actually, part of the reason I started this channel was I thought a lot about Kesha's album that she came out with in 2018, and I wrote about it on my Facebook, and no one cared. That was a great album. It was really good. Kesha's really good. She's a really good artist. I didn't like that early stuff, though. But you gotta love the aggressiveness of this line. Give them a hit, they can eat shit. Choke on my name when you suck on my dick. Mwah. That is a perfect Kesha lyric in this place. Also, there's someone else this album needs. It kind of needs Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton makes music. Paris Hilton was crucial to this moment. Can we make it happen, Charli? I don't know. I actually made a video on my second channel about an episode of Paris Hilton's new reality show that was one of literally the best hours of television I've ever seen. It was some of the best and most truthful things I've seen about family dynamics I've ever seen in television. And I know, it's hot, ha ha ha. But anyways. And I like how it ties in the themes of the original with the Grammys. And of course she's going to win Grammys. Of course Charli's going to win all the Grammys for this whole project. It's just great. And this is all a reminder, If you watch the Zane Lowe interview, she talks about how she wanted to go independent. And then she ended up just signing Charli. She ended up signing with a major label because she got more control over her masters, which is what she wanted. Let's talk about artists who control their masters, shall we? Kesha does not control her masters. In the old days, the person who holds her masters is the person she has, credibly I believe, accused of sexual assault, that being Dr. Luke. So Kesha makes music now, and it's far away from that, and she does it in a way where she gets to control her masters. She gets to be empowered. And then we have Charli XCX, who has a new record deal where she controls more of her masters. Who else would work in this sphere, who's very famous for beefing with an abusive man who controls the masters to her music? I can't think of anybody. Can you tell me in the comments what other female pop star might make sense in this larger context? Sorry, I can't help it. I'm not trying to troll. I'm just having fun with it. So yeah, that's my review. I look forward to releasing another one of these when we finally get the last song. I'm sure it'll be great. And tell me what you think. Do you see the vision? Am I making my point? Am I repeating myself too much? Or am I still just saying Taylor too much? All right. Until next time. Brat!